This is the Eyeball of our changing world. I'll be right back. Please stay with me. So, we're back again. And this time, let's go to Jamaica. Jamaica is a island in the Caribbean, and it has a population of just under 3 million. It's 2,825,000 to be exact. Now, it's infested by crime. This is one of the things that I really want to talk about here today. It's an island that is really, really infested by crime. And it's not the only country. There are a lot of countries uh, that has this problem of crime and violence. Now, the government of Jamaica wants to declare a state of emergency in the country because of the high level of crime and violence. Now, police wants to do this, and particularly if they have uh, suspects, people who are on police radar. A state of emergency would allow them to stop these people, pull them over, search them, go in their homes, even without a search warrant, and investigate these people. So that's what the government is proposing. Now there is an organization in Jamaica that is called Jamaican for Justice. They want to have no share and part with this kind of a proposal by the government. And I just want to let you know here that in 2018, there were 1,297 murders committed in the island. In 2022, it moved up to 1,498. So it was increasing in that light. Now, and those numbers are just what the government can um, account for. That's just what's in the data system. It could be higher. Now, the executive director for Jamaican for Justice, her name is Michelle Jackson. And she said no to the state of emergency by the government because it would give law enforcement extraordinary power to pull people over, search them, to go in their house if they are on police radar. She said, even if they are on police radar, the, the, the law should not allow that because the law shouldn't allow that to happen without a search warrant. It's just too much power for law enforcement. Not because, as I said, they are on police radar. She believed it should not happen. And she also said that all of us are affected by crime, which is a fact. All of us. It's something that trickles down. Once someone who you know, a family member, a friend that is hurt by criminals, whether they get murdered, robbed, raped, whatever the situation is, it affects us. It's a human thing. It affects it affects people's jobs. People feel afraid to go to work because they may think they might be mugged, robbed, harassed. It affects housing. People move from neighborhoods because criminals take over. Criminals enter the place. They enter the community. People don't feel safe anymore, so it affects neighborhood. People have to move sometimes their entire family to relocate. It affects education. It's very difficult for children to learn when they are in an environment that is unstable, when they don't, when their safety is exposed to criminals, violence. Teachers are afraid. They don't want to go to work either. They feel scared. They can present information in a nice, comfortable environment. Healthcare. It affects, crime and violence also affects healthcare. I mean, people who get maimed, injured, they have to go to the hospital, the clinics. People who are traumatized psychologically, mentally, socially, all this kind of thing. A country, people don't want to invest in a country where there is crime and violence. So it becomes poorer, so to speak. Michelle Jackson also said that she had visited the inner city. She have spoken to the people in the inner city, and what they want more boots on the ground. They want to feel safe and secure. She said she's proposing that the government have some kind of a security where these people who have to go to court and give information on people who they think are involved in crime, government should have them protected in some fashion. Even if they have to relocate these people, she's suggesting, that's her suggestion, that the government should find ways to even relocate these people. But what I believe personally, and I think a lot of people will agree, is that not only the inner city people who needs boots on the ground, a lot of people think that the entire country needs to have boots on the ground, needs to see law enforcement boots on the ground. I mean, people who have left that country 20, 30, 40 years ago don't believe that it's the same paradise. All those quiet, little Jerry, little quiet backbush towns that you used to be living in, where you could sit on your veranda and the breeze is blowing and it's 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night and you're still out there playing your radio, listening to music. It's not that way anymore. Jamaican for Justice said that they have supported over 100 people who were under the state of emergency. That's good. That's good. Michelle Jackson, Michelle Jackson also said that the Everton Douglas case, which they represent over five men that Jamaica for Justice represented, and they were in prison for a year and they were never charged. That's a really sad case for the government to let that happen. 5 men, they have their families, so on and so forth. And I personally think that they should be compensated by the government for being away so long. I think she mentioned one of them losing their house and all that type of stuff. And I personally believe that they should be compensated. But I don't think that that's a good example that she's using. I think that's an extreme case. So you can't always go to the extreme. There have been people who have been benefiting from the state of emergency, in that they feel safer, their community, they feel more quiet. I think she should find some kind of an average where, over here, these people were punished because they were involved in criminal activity, they get caught. But on the other hand, here's another group of people over here who feel safer. And they were brought to justice. So using an extreme case, it's not an everyday thing. I don't think that people are always locked up for a year and going through all that kind of difficult time. She also, Michelle Jackson also said that 1,000 people, no, rather 10,000 people were detained under the state of emergency. 10,000. She said only 5% were convicted of crime. But look at this. 5% of 10,000 is 500. Now, if you fan out 500 people over Jamaica with weapons and who are committing crimes, there are a lot of people for law enforcement to control. 500 people is a lot. So if let's say, for example, Jamaica, as we know that the population of Jamaica is 2,825,000. Let's say, well, 5% of that number are committing crime. And I wouldn't, I don't know what the numbers are. I'm not going to do it now. But let's say that was happening. That's a lot of people committing crime. Even if it was 3%, that would still be a lot of 2%, still a lot of people committing crime in the island. It is rampant. And, I know it's important to follow the law, but there are certain times when certain things are not always black and white. There are gray areas. And when people are getting hurt, when so many people are dying on an annual basis, particularly men, I think Jamaica is going to run out of men because all these young men, particularly who are being killed, who have real value, 9-year-old boys, 8-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls, 14-year-old boys are getting killed. These are people who haven't started their life nowhere close. We don't know their potential. And usually people don't tell you about what they're going to do. And people at this young age, they don't know what they're going to do. They just want the love and support of a healthy government. And when we talk about, let me just touch on government. Sometimes you people wait on government during campaign, they come out and they tell you what they will offer you. I think sometimes you as a group of you people should get out and say, you know what happened? You have been telling me all of this all these years, what you have to give. Listen, this is what we want. We want a safe society. We want a society where our children feel safe, where we can have decent jobs and hold them to it. You want a government that will reduce crime within a certain period of time. You give them a number, percentage-wise. If we put you in office, we want to see you do this. Don't tell me that, well, if I put you in power, I'm going to get water in my house. There was one time a politician said, well, if they win, everyone in the country will have water in their house. What a lie. You cannot run pipes, 20 miles up in the bushes to give people. So you need to hold politicians to it. They say, listen, this is what we want. You offer this all the time. No, this is what we want you to do. And every government that comes in, you want to hold them to it, and you want to see results. So I am for state of emergency. Let me tell you something that what happened a couple of years ago, maybe it's about 15 years ago. The mayor of New York City, crime got out of control, particularly in the inner city areas. People were getting robbed, raped. People couldn't stay out there and barbecue in the summer because shots were being fired and people were, getting robbed. Crime was out of control in New York City. And the mayor brought up a plan. He put into law, and I think it was a temporary thing though, similar to state of emergency. What he called it was stop and frisk, where anyone that is on the police radar, the police will pull up, pull you over, hold you, shake you out, and investigate. You get into your apartment. They don't have to have any kind of search warrant. It's a stop and frisk. And I tell you, it worked like magic. A lot of guns were found, drugs, criminals were taken off the street. Men, little girls, boys, they were able to play in the street in the night, hang out in the park until late, play music, dance, eat. It was safe. And then these social justice warriors, they came out, gloves on, hitting the mayor. Oh, you're only putting black people in jail. It's unfair. It's disproportional because This country has more white people who are committing crime than black people. Well, you know, that's a fact. The white population in America is far greater than the black population. Well, when you look at it, white people are not going into black neighborhoods killing black people. It's black and black. You know, so these social justice hawks, they were out there. You know, you got to stop this because more black people are going into jail, and that's racist. All right. And they hammer at this poor mayor till he had to throw his hand into the air and say, okay, well, you know, no more stop and frisk. You know, guys, you're free to do what you want to do. Boys and girls are okay. People were back out there with weapons, and the crime went up again. And people didn't feel safe. Even up to this day, in 2024, crime is out of control in New York City because no mayor, even though New York City has a black mayor, he doesn't even want to touch that. And his community, the black community primarily, is suffering from crime and violence. But no, if you try to clamp that down, it's racism. You know, this is not what we should be focusing on here. We should be focusing on people's lives. When people get killed for being successful, whether you have a little shop on the corner, whether you're a shoemaker, whether you're a tailor, whether you're a building contractor, an attorney, a doctor, you run a supermarket, whatever, most people work really hard because life is difficult. It's difficult for everyone, whether you are rich, poor, in between. Life is hard. Look at the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. Look at what he's going through. I mean, you know, and he's a multi-billionaire. You think he would be having an easy life? He would be at Mar-a-Lago down there in Florida at his estate, chilling out, drinking wine with his young, beautiful, sexy wife. You know, because most guys, you know, are saying, well, man, I have that kind of money. You know, and Donald Trump is in his 70s. I think his wife is probably in her late 40s or something like that. Most guys would say, I have kind of money, man, I'll chill. You know, it's like, I'm flying all over the world with my girl. But look at what he's going through. So I'm saying here, life is hard. So I think that with what is going on in Jamaica today, it's not about individual inner city community. It's about the entire island because people are sick and tired. People are traumatized. So, and the thing is, you know, I just want to mention this. Stop and frisk in New York City. New York City has resources. For anyone who have gone to New York City or visited New York City or live in New York City, you know that for every minute you see a police car on a corner, you know, so they have the resources. And as a matter of fact, if you are driving down, say, 42nd Street, and the light is red, and you say, you know, I'm going to turn on 3rd Avenue because I don't see any police around, and you make that turn, as soon as you make a turn, a black car pull up beside you with speakers on, lights flashing, and trust me, you can't even move to the next street because that is all so blocked off. Because New York City have a system they call the Police Central Command, where all hundreds of men and women are sitting there, all they do is looking on computer, checking all the streets. And you wonder how police realize that something is going on that street so far. They are looking at you, cameras everywhere. You understand? All the streets are blocked off. You can't get out. They want to get you. So they have the resource. And yet, they don't have a hold on crime and violence in New York. That's why they had stop and frisk. So, it's similar to boots on the ground. It's similar to state of emergency in Jamaica. Let the government do their job. People want to feel safe. People want to sit on their veranda People want to chill and play reggae music and dance in the street until late. Women want to walk the street feeling safe. That's what I'm saying. The little girls don't have to worry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm living in an area. I must tell you, I'm living in an area. And I can go to the park. I can spread a towel. I can lay down. I could have my wallet in my pocket, my cell phone and my towel on the ground. I can fall asleep and I'll get up and it's still there. And people are in the park walking all over the place. Nobody will touch you because I feel safe. It's a beautiful way to live. Who wouldn't want to live like that? So, Jamaican for Justice, at least let the government give it a shot and see what would happen. This is the Ibala, and it's a changing world.